Fantastic. Well, shall we give it 30 seconds until everybody's on, and then we'll start the conversation? Brilliant. We've just been discussing the colour of our T-shirts beforehand and the importance of
World Mental Health Day. We're yellow.
Absolutely.
Yes, colour coordinated today.
It is. As with the room as well. Almost an off yellow.
We are. We will be.
It's a shame people can't see that fantastic board, which I'm sure you'll talk about.
We should have put that up, shouldn't we?
Brilliant. Well, we'll make a start today because I know it's lunchtime for those that are watching the video. First of all, welcome to the first of our series for Tootoot in our webinars. I'm Michael Brennan, the founder and CEO of Tootoot, and this is Jaime Trainer, head of Pastoral at Ince Primary School. Welcome on World Mental Health Day. What a fantastic time for us to be able to launch our webinar series and discuss through the points that we will today. Thank you to Ince Primary School for having us, one of our advocate schools for the last 3 years. It's been absolutely fantastic. And as you can see, I did start in a shirt this morning, but due to some fantastic events and some assemblies and working with the new Tutu champions, which we'll talk about later on, it's been a bit of an exciting morning. So we're just kind of quieting off and slowing down after the start of that. The agenda for today over the next sort of 20 to 30 minutes is really, really simple. We want to discuss the growing need for mental health promotion and prevention in both primary schools and secondary schools. I want to share my personal experiences that relate it back to what Tootoot is, why we developed the tool, and how important it is to me to ensure that schools are using software such as ours to help with young people. I want to highlight the importance of giving vulnerable pupils an extra line of communication. Discussing how we can implement evidence-based early intervention decisions as a result of using our platforms and your own work within schools. And then finishing off with the future of Tootoot and some of our other features to help young people's mental health and well-being. We'll be discussing kind of what that looks like going forwards. Finally, we'll finish with a Q&A. So for those that are listening, there's the option for you to submit some questions. So at the end of this, please post your questions and we'll answer them as we go. We'll do our best to do so along the way. So Jaime, thank you for today. You're one of our advocates and we absolutely love you and taking up your time in a busy period and watching you fly around. Just what is your role? Talk us through what that means for those that aren't pastoral leads. What is that?
Yeah, my role in school obviously is pastoral support. We look after all the children and staff in school. It's really important to remember your staff, especially for Mental Health Week. And my role is to listen to the children and to listen to the parents as well. Sort out any problems they have, to look after them, to hear happy stories from the children, spread good news, and just to basically be there and be that person, that trusted, that emotionally available adult to the children in school.
And have you found that your roles changed over the last 3 years that we've worked together, or the time you've been in school?
Definitely. People are opening up more, people are talking to us more, there's more out there for people. We can signpost people to different things, and people really trust us, and that's working hard with our families.
And that's naturally led into my next question, actually, which is the growing need for mental health promotion and prevention. You just touched on that people are speaking up more. Two key stats for me that are scary in their own right is, and we were just discussing them before, in the UK, 1 in 8 young people experience anxiety or depression, which is a rise of 50% compared to 20 years ago, let alone the last 3 years. And what that equates to is 4 children in a class of 32 suffering from those issues. And the second point, and it always comes down to money in schools and in the world, unfortunately, but the Children's Commission has found that we spend 15 times more money on adults than on children. And these are personal thoughts of my own, but we need to spend more money on the children. Definitely.
We really need to start early and work with our children at an early age. And that early intervention is key. And we really need to work with those little children and talk about mental health. We need to stop the stigma. And they need to open up and talk.
And I think we're both aligned on that kind of so what, is that if we invest in the mental health now, perhaps we can reduce that 15 times spend on adults further down the line and making that early intervention decision to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. Money well spent, spending it on the children at the beginning, and let's get in with them when we can.
Fantastic. So first question to you, Jaime. What roles do schools play, but in particular relating back to Ince? What role does Ince play in promoting positive mental health, and what does that mean to you in your school?
For me, it's about the children letting the light shine. That is what we talk about in school. The children need to know where to talk, who to talk to, who they can trust in school. And it's really, really important that they know they can talk to anybody. It might not be pastoral. But everybody wants that adult who they trust in school, and that's what we really, really focus upon in our school. It's just so important that they get to talk.
And one of the key points we were discussing about, particularly when I was at school, which was 10 years ago now, and I'm only 29, which is scary. But one of the key points that we talked about was understanding about the barriers to entry to speak up, and that door. And the conversation that we have in schools is quite harsh to say, our door is always open, our children can come to us. You had some good thoughts on it's not just a physical door anymore. It's
not a physical door. People see things that they don't want to speak. It's that barrier all the time in front of them is, don't want to speak, what are people going to think of me if I open up? But they've got to get that culture changed, and we've got to get them to open up and speak to us. And it's the only way we're going to do it if we all work together and send that message out.
And some of my younger cousins as well, their door is now their mobile phone or their tablet. Every single day we're fighting to get them off of that digital door, as it were. And how do we use that digital door is really important. It
is, and that is what our children use. They've all got tablets, they've all got phones, they can use that whenever they need to. And we've got a lot of problems on mobile phones, social media, but it can also be used for good. And that's the door that we need to.
And what age are we talking about, Jamie, in terms of your children in your school? What's the year range? What's the age of the children that you're supporting?
From age 4. From age 4 up to age 11, we support every child in school.
And you find that young people have mobile phones at that age?
Oh, it's getting younger. It's getting younger and younger.
Really?
There's children that I know have got mobile phones at age 5, age 6. Which, if they're taught to use them properly, kept safe on them, then fine.
And obviously, you mentioned the hashtag Let Your Light Shine, which I'm now wearing, and Jamie's not getting this T-shirt back anymore because it looks fantastic. it's gone. But off the back of that, can you sort of share outside sort of any individual challenges overcomes, or how focusing and promoting mental health and well-being helps young people in your school? Yeah,
it does really help. We have children who have opened up and have spoke to us, and they've now got the help and support they need, whether that be through CAMS or within family welfare or other forms of support and help. But that's all from opening up and letting their light shine and knowing they can come and talk to us, which is so important.
Amazing. And I met 4 of the your new peer mentoring team before, and they were fantastic, and we got some photos together, and they're brilliant. But they asked me about my story and kind of what was my what let your light shine, which was a great question. And it relates back to kind of why did I set up Tootoot? I was bullied very, very heavily throughout primary school and secondary school, and the story that I've shared with you many a times. But the biggest challenge that I faced, particularly in primary school, was I wasn't confident to speak up, and I didn't know who to tell. So in a small school of 30 students, primary school, year 4 to year 6, I couldn't say, I've got a problem, I'm being bullied, these are my issues. And unfortunately, that escalated all the way through to secondary school, 2,000 student sports excellence college, where the same 2 challenges occurred. Definitely wasn't confident to speak up, and didn't know who to tell in that environment. I used Childline, absolutely fantastic service, absolutely amazing. Brilliant. But one thing they failed to do is feedback to you in your role, even to say, there's a young person needs some help in this area or in this environment. And that kind of was why was Tootoot born. For me, it was, if we could help one person to be able to report a concern to a school computer, through their phone, whatever they're allowed to do in their school, to someone like yourself, that would close the gap at that early intervention stage. And we've to date helped 500,000 children. 60,000 reports have come through, ranging from friendship issues all the way up to mental health issues. So no surprise in what I'm sure your dashboard lights up with. We've worked with a number of multi-academy trusts to bring the schools together to have a consistent approach. And we've worked with Wigan Council and 47 of your schools together to join the dots. So we're really, really proud of that. But it always comes back to helping one child. It's really, really important that we can give one child a voice. And for me, it's about understanding your elements of that. What is important for you about giving young people a voice, or vulnerable young people a voice? It
is vulnerable children, but it's all of our children. We need to know what's going on in their lives, if we can help them in any way. If they're coming into school and something's happened at home, they're not ready to learn. They're not. And we need to focus on those children and get them ready to learn and take any barriers out that we can. There's a lot going on in their little lives, and we need to do anything we can to help them.
And can you give us an example of what those barriers are in their little lives? It sounds awful to say, but it's important to get on the head.
It is. We've got, just from homework, not knowing how to do that, friendship issues on the playground, then there's the more serious issues. There's domestic abuse at home, there's parents falling out, there's siblings falling out, and it's using platforms like Tootoot that they can tell us about that in confidence and they know we can help them, and they can use it at home, at school, and they just know that we're going to help them. I mean, they need to use it.
So in simple terms, obviously I've just shared the journey about what Tootoot is, but for those that are on the video that are listening to this element here, talk us through how an individual uses Tootoot and what it means to you through that journey.
Yeah, it all starts there with Tootoot champions.
Yeah.
Our Tootoot champions are out there, they've got lanyards on, they've got the t-shirts, they're easily noticeable by all the children, and if there is an issue, our children then go to them.
Yeah.
They get the laptop set up, they have a room for them at lunchtime, and it's just those in the room. You have to be really sensible and use that room. Yeah. They can go in and send us a message, and then that comes through to us. Obviously, it can be anonymous.
Yeah.
Or a lot of our children put their names on them because they want that help and support. But our Tootoot champions are so good at dealing with these issues, and sometimes they're actually dealing with the issue before it gets on Tootoot because they know what to do and they want to help. So
it's more of a kind of fire extinguisher and enabler at the same time.
Of course it is.
Builds more of a culture than it does just an app.
It's the culture of the school. They're using Tootoot, but they're also using restorative justice, and they're there to help. And they're trusted peer mentoring in the school, and all the rest of the children know who to go to.
Did you find it difficult to set up and launch?
At first, you think, right, we're going to have to set this up, what we're going to do. Yeah. But then you ring and you speak to people at your office, and they're absolutely fantastic, and everything's sorted within a couple of minutes. You're done. You get out of it what you put in. Yeah. And the more you put into it, the more it's going to help the children. We didn't need to have a Tootoot champions. I could have done it all myself, but time restraints in the school are hard. Yeah. The Tootoot champions are there, and now they don't want me. The children say, no, you can go, we just want to deal with Tootoot.
I suppose the byproduct of that is peer-to-peer support as well. You suddenly have talking about peer mentoring and how you bring it into a school. You're talking about well-being, you're talking about culture, engagement, safeguarding. Actually, it's all the same umbrella.
Everything, and they all help each other. But they know who to go to, whether it be that trusted adult, whether it be a Tootoot champion, whether it be another member of school staff. They know they can go and talk to anybody.
Amazing. So we've talked through a journey of a young person reporting. And like anything, a solution has to help you being selfish, has to help the school and do something. As much as it helps the young person, we need to make sure that you want to use it. It's there.
Definitely.
Talk us through kind of the other side. So as these reports come together, you help an individual child, fantastic, we've made a difference there. But you're in charge of supporting 250 children and 50 adults.
Yes.
How can you use Tootoot's dashboard as that picture builds up to support you in your role?
We use the dashboard a lot, and then we can see any patterns. So we can notice that, say for example, a new app's come out and children are using it and they're not being very nice on it.
Like a yip yak, for example.
Yeah, exactly, definitely. And we get a lot of reports saying such one is doing such thing online. And if this seems to be getting a pattern, we get the police in, and then they do an assembly on how to keep safe on social media. If we notice a lot of friendship issues are coming through, we'll then do some friendship groups, and we do that at lunchtime, whether it be with us or the Tootoot champions or just as a whole class. We'll talk about friendship. So it's knowing what's coming through.
It's closing that loop almost. It's that cycle constantly.
And on that dashboard, it's really easy to see what the current issues are.
And actually, I was really interested when we were chatting before around, you mentioned the police so naturally, but I think people forget that you have your young people you're supporting and then all the services that help on the outside, and actually Tootoot becomes that glue in the middle in between.
It does. It's so easy for us to see what our issues are in school. So we can pinpoint that really quickly as well. We're not having an issue with one child speaking to one member of staff, another child speaking to another, and then it's just a conversation between saying, well, there is a problem with that. It's really quick and it's sorted, and we can get people in to deal with it straight away.
Amazing. And money, the blunt question.
We
were talking to your teacher before about actually this saves money, the intangible part, but it's very difficult for anybody to say how it does. How do you think it does? You make your investment into this platform and your time. How's it reduced the spend at the other end?
It is an investment, worthwhile investment, but it will reduce it. You've got to get that early intervention in place, which you can do with Tootoot. You can get services involved, but then it stops everything happening further up the line, and you can get in when they need it.
So as you were saying there, back to the police, you can actually say, I need you today, rather than I need to pay for a whole campaign.
Exactly. You can get the police and go, we've had quite a few on this. Can you get in and do this assembly for us? Like you say, instead of later on the line, and we're saying, wow, we really need to do a big thing on this. We need to get specialists in and do things.
So schools, we're in Reading in the Northwest right now, but
Yeah.
for schools in London, for example, around knife crime or gang crime, it doesn't matter whether it's mental health that we're talking about or an issue. Actually, if your dashboard's lighting up with reports,
you can look at it there and then and say, right, this
person.
is an issue. Let's find out who the best person is to come and speak. We had a problem with social media, so we asked the local high school, could they send some children down to do an assembly? And they listened to them, but that was done within the week. So it's really quick and sorted. And
the story I'm most fond about is, you mentioned, in terms of how do we use the data to make evidence-based decisions and a difference in the school. Ofsted.
Yes.
Talk us through that. Every school is terrified and loves Ofsted in the same way. What did Tootoot do to support you in that setting?
Yeah. Again, with all the data, all the dashboard data, we looked at that and we sat down and spoke to Ofsted about the issues in school, because obviously very truthful about what's happening, and it showed all the data of the issues that we've got, but it could also then support what we were doing about the issues, and we could see that really plainly on the dashboard.
And I think we're learning that every day as a young organisation, is that Ofsted don't mind the fact you've got issues.
No, as long as you're doing something about it.
That's where schools fall down.
Yes.
And that comes back to the human part of this tool, which the data can only tell you something. It's what you then bring to life with that.
Definitely. And we said to them, these issues are in school, but we've got Tootoot. We're really keeping an eye on what's happening. This has happened. We've got these people in to sort this issue out.
Amazing.
And they love that we were so active and we were getting things done quickly.
And I'm going to ask a flip question back, because people listening to a video will be like, "Oh my God, you've worked with Jaime 3 years, absolutely fantastic." As honest as you can be right now, what do you think the challenges that Tootoot need to do more of to support you, or what's not quite there yet? Because like anything, the launch part takes a week to deliver. If you do it right, it can be quick to set up. But
it can. I mean, at first
it's not all positive.
It was very daunting at first, because I was sat with these hundreds of children thinking, "Gosh, I need to give every child a password."
Yeah.
Then they need to get on, they need to learn how to use it, they need to then change the password securely. And it was that bit, I think, that I thought, right, how do we do this? But with support from yourselves, it was broken down, and then now you send the passwords and it's all done for us, and it's worked really, really well this time. But it's that, just at first, it's a little bit daunting. But once you've done it the first year, you know exactly what you're doing then.
You're there for life.
Yeah, you know what you're doing, and it's all sorted.
Did you have any challenges in, you'd heard about Tootoot, and you had to take that back to your senior leadership team and governors. Was there any resistance there initially?
Luckily, some of my senior leaders had been to meetings and it had been mentioned, but I had to then go back and say, "Listen, this is what we really need. This is key for our school. It's what we need." And I had to do a bit of a presentation on Tootoot and say why we needed it, and it was just perfect. At that time in our school, it's exactly what we needed. Did take a bit of convincing, because it's, again, money, and it all comes down to it. We've only got a limited budget in schools, but you've got to invest now in these children, and it is so key to invest in them, and that's what I put across to them and begged for.
How do you ensure that it stays on the agenda? Because Tootoot is just one part of your process and your program of champions in mental health and wellbeing. Let your light shine is just important. How do you keep that on the agenda every meeting and for leadership to be aware of?
That is through myself, because it's one of my main focuses in school is to keep an eye on Tootoot, to keep it running, to keep it running smoothly, to make sure the Tootoot champions know what they're doing, and to keep assemblies going. We've got to have these assemblies, so they do one with the ethos group, or they can do one on their own. They can do one with restorative justice, but it's always in the forefront of everybody's minds. It's on senior leadership agendas on a Monday meeting, that we'll talk about Tootoot and we'll get the dashboard and see what the issues are. So it is mentioned all the time.
That's one of the things that we want to make sure it's important, is when somebody thinks, this is great, there's no rush. We want to work with you in the pace of your school, and mental health and wellbeing isn't going to go away.
It's not.
Knife crime, bullying isn't going to go away.
No.
It's going to get worse with social media. So it's about putting the foundations in place to support that psychological safety of young people as we grow, and it's them foundations that are really important.
Of course it is, and we've got to get that embedded. And we have children now who leave us and go to high school, and they're saying to their high schools on the days, "We've got Tootoot. You have to have Tootoot because we've had it," and that's what they're used to now, and they know they're safe and they're protected because they've got Tootoot in school.
Amazing. So Jaime is one of our great advocates that I'm sure will come across on the video. In a nutshell, people will be interested in learning more about Tootoot. It's great for them to safely hear what we do and how it fits into a school environment. It's not us just saying, we're brilliant, look at what we do as a story. What does Tootoot mean to you in terms of helping the mental health of young people today and also for the next 10 years in your school?
It's massive. Mental health is a big thing, and children need to open up. They need to talk, and Tootoot is the way they choose to talk in our school. We still have worry boxes. We still have our pastoral staff. There's happiness jars around school they can talk to. But our children always say the first thing is Tootoot, and that's who we can go to, because they know on the other end of that app, of the phone, of their iPad, and we're waiting for that message, and we will reply when we can, and we'll go and speak to them. And it's just so important.
Amazing. And that leads on to kind of the second point being the future. Obviously, we've been working quite closely to develop our vision and becoming the world leader in kind of supporting young people with their mental health and well-being, whether that be reporting that issue, whether that be kind of being able to measure and pulse. And most recently, we've developed a platform called Tootoot. And the 3 key points are really simple: is you can ask a question and beam that to your iPad for your staff or to yourself to then get individual year groups or the whole school's mood or pulse of how happy they are on a single question. We're continually building out with our schools, and we've got a long way to go to elaborate that. But have you had any experiences of using that yet, or are you still in the testing stage?
Yeah, we're still in the testing stage. We have used it with the children at playtimes or at lunchtimes, just to see what can we do differently at playtimes. If there's been a big falling out at playtime, you know, have they mentioned it? Have they told us about it? We're now getting people in to help run our lunchtimes and train staff on what to do at lunchtimes, but that's coming from children saying, we're not quite happy at lunchtime.
Brilliant.
You know, that'll come from the mood.
Ask that question, how do you feel? 4 smileys and getting an amber.
Exactly. And if one day they're saying no, we're saying, right, what's going on? What's happened? What can we do to make your playtimes, lunchtimes better and safer?
Absolutely fantastic. We've had some experience of using Tootoot in some schools with special educational needs. We've had a lot of schools signing up because obviously those individuals aren't able to necessarily write a message on their phone or speaking that way, and they found it fantastic to kind of just give that feeling and let that go. So we're excited to work with you to see how that further develops. And any schools that are listening, you don't just get a software solution with us. You get a lot more support and wraparound to say, how do we bring this to life? How do we actually make these yellow t-shirts around the school? Because it has to be as tangible as it can be.
Of course, and everybody has to work together. I know we've spoken to you in the past, and you've listened to other children of what they want and where they can see it going forward, and they can see their ideas coming into practice. You know, so that's getting everybody involved.
I think, regardless of what we do, that's a key point in anything. Isn't it? Back to that, the head teacher, the old-fashioned way might say, the door's always open. Actually, it's about keeping that door open and listening and looping and coming out of that door rather than kind of. It's two-way approach.
Definitely, it's getting everybody involved, getting everybody's ideas. We work with the children day in, day out, so for you to listen to our ideas, it's just brilliant, and it's so important.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time. Delighted to be here on World Mental Health Day, and we'd love to come back at a later date to share the exposure of kind of your Let Your Light Shine campaign. But for those that are on the call right now, I'm just going to pop onto the questions. If I can just grab Joss here. We've got a couple of questions before we click onto the speech here. So, Jaime, what is your top practical tip for improving pupil mental health that teachers can implement tomorrow? What could you do from this call tomorrow without anything else in place?
Without anything else in place is to listen to your children. Make sure your children in school know who they can talk to. It doesn't have to be their teacher. It could be a welfare staff, it could be a cleaner, it could be the caretaker. It doesn't matter. As long as that child's got someone to talk to. Could be another pupil in year 6. Fantastic. It really doesn't matter, but they've got to know there's somebody available to talk to, who they feel comfortable talking with, not who we think they should talk to.
It's a really good idea. So for those that are listening, you know, literally you can do something tomorrow by making yourself aware, creating safe spaces, back to that old peer mentoring scheme to encourage. You can have champions without Tootoot champions.
Of course, you can have anybody who wants to go and help. Anybody. It's really easy to sort.
Next question that's come from Laura. Do you have set times for students to be able to access computers to use? So you mentioned you've got the rooms, and obviously some people, you might have a phone ban, or you can't bring your phone to school. So there's a challenge there. There
is a challenge. We obviously don't allow phones into school. At lunchtime, The Rainbow Room is set up, and our Tootoot champions have a rota, and they're on duty at different times in the day that they can use that, mainly at lunchtime, and they can come in and use that whenever they need to. If a child comes in and speaks to a Tootoot champion, they want to do it somewhere else, they can take them somewhere private and let them send the message there. But obviously, it is at lunchtime. We don't encourage them to come out of class unless there is an issue. But obviously, they can use it at home whenever. All their children have got it on the app. So they can do it then.
Another question has come through there. We've got worry boxes and question jars around our school. Is it just the same? And what's the benefit of introducing a digital platform over physical messaging boxes?
The more you have, the better. Obviously, I think we'll never get rid of our worry boxes. Some children like that because some people like to draw a picture of them feeling sad. I love having jars where they can put happy thoughts in and we read them out in assembly and we do that. But I think having Tootoot gives it that central focus, and that's what people go to. If you ask any of our children how they report things, they will initially say Tootoot. And that's their main focus of what they want to use. But it doesn't replace anything else. We still keep the other forms of what we have.
And we found that some of our schools actually, they take pictures of their questions and upload them onto the form as well to attach. Is that similar to yourself?
Yeah, we can take pictures. A lot of our children love the fact that you can take a screenshot. And that is a really key.
For WhatsApp or for Instagram.
Really key thing we have, because obviously they're all on WhatsApp, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever they have. Screenshot comes in and then they send that to us. Because they've got evidence that this is going on then. And
that speeds up that early intervention
definitely,
process.
and that's a key part of Tootoot that they really like. So to do that.
Final question, because I know everyone's short of time and needs a sandwich before the bell goes in between.
Yes, we'll do.
Tootoot isn't for primary schools, is what we hear a lot from primary schools. It's more aimed at secondary, isn't it? Is the question?
No, it's not.
Over to you.
No.
Why?
It's definitely to be used in primary schools. There's still the same stigma of you can't go and tell a teacher, you're grassing on me, I'm not letting you go and tell a teacher. That happens in primary schools, not high schools. Yeah, children do come and talk to us a bit more in primary school because we've got that more open door policy. But there's still the stigma of something happening on the playground or especially at home where they think, we can't tell anybody, we're not allowed to do that. Yeah, you can. And primary school children face that now more than any time. And they're really going through that. So they need to be able to have a platform to come and speak.
Well, Jaime, thank you so much as always for being honest and for sharing the challenges and the opportunity. For those that are listening or would like to learn more about Tootoot, then please sign up on our website. If there's any questions directly for Jaime, we can filter them back at a different time, which I'm sure will collect in one go to support. For me, it's about helping that one child to report a concern. The challenge is only going to become bigger and bigger and bigger, and we want to work to support that challenge rather than add another thing into the school. Thank you all for listening. Have a great day, and we'll see you all soon.